Okay, confessions to start this show. This is a post-Valentine's, post-Chicago trip. That's it. So, confession is, I got high before the show. Usually I get high at the start of the show. So, I really need some sort of like intro music, which really just needs to be a bong rip. But I don't have that yet. So what you get is just me leisurely walking in and welcoming everyone to the Stone Genius. Hey, I'm TSG. I'm Ro. I'm the Stone Genius. Welcome. You can call me whatever you want. So what's happened since the last time I spoke with Thoust, with you? I don't know. Thoust and you? Don't know. I'm not sure that's the same thing. Don't care. I would love for someone to use "thoust" with me in a sentence today, and I will punch them in the face. That is my guarantee, that if someone comes up to me and says "thoust," I will punch them in the face. It's a one day only. You need to find out where I am. Let's see. What do we want to talk about? Oh, so Valentine's Day. I'm going to start off here by talking about Valentine's Day, special days in general, and intermittent fasting. And I'm going to tie them all into one. And I'm going to try to do this all before I forget what I'm talking about. I should be writing this shit down. Actually, I have a notebook for this, and it's nowhere near me right now. That seems stupid. Gosh, if I had a better producer, then this wouldn't have happened. I can see my notebook. I'm trying to figure out whether I can stretch and reach and talk all at the same time. Actually, let's do this. Let's give a moment of silence to something that's happened recently. I don't know what. There should be something that requires a 3 to 5 second moment of silence. And let's go. Oh, shit. Oh, man. Is this the right book? I'm back. 3, 4, and hey, what's up? Thanks for doing that. And these notes may be shit also, because I wrote them while I was high. Yeah. So anyway, the way I was going to tie a few things together, and I don't even remember what they were now. Shoot, I'm going to have to go back to the start of the show, listen to it, and then figure out what I was going to talk about. I know it was intermittent fasting. Then I was working backwards from there. I was doing something else, and then doing that. I don't remember. Gosh darn it. See, this is what I get. I get thrown off the notebook. Now, this is one of the side effects to getting super high. This is not like this is exactly like an I'm going to my parents' house type of high. This is not we have friends coming. It's that kind of high too. This is not whatever, man. I should really just start this show over. I feel like someone at this point is looking for a number. If this was a live show, someone would be looking to call and do a welfare check. I'm fine. I'm just super high this morning. Yeah. So, get up at the crack of 9. That's what you do. You wake and you bake. I was up much earlier than the crack of dawn. 9 dawn. I was not up before the crack of dawn, that's for sure. Okay, so what were we going to talk about? I have no idea. What did I write in my notebook on the trip? Oh, let's talk about the trip. So first of all, no, I remember I was going to tie this all in. Trip, wife, see, beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, boop. I am Stephen Hawking, making love to your wife. You're going to have to listen to a previous show to understand that one. We got to talk about cats as well, because that T increase, whoa. I mean, I knew it was going to. It almost did it, and then it did in a dramatic fashion. So we'll talk about that. Cats. Not sure how that's not a note on here. So Valentine's Day was yesterday. I am horrible at gifts. And it's not, and the thing is, like, I think I'd mentioned on this show that on my high school best friend's birthday, I will call him. And usually people are not doing that, reaching out and calling and doing that way. So I do that on the actual birthday. I don't need something to remind. Now, I will tell you, I still have my calendar reminders. It's not like I have this amazing memory for those dates. I have amazing memory for really stupid shit. Stuff that I don't anticipate memorizing, things that I don't anticipate needing recall on in the future. But, you know, that's how shit happens. So I am horrible. And at this point, after being together for 26 years, it is hard to, and I've always been this way. So this isn't something that I started off with a bang and then around the second or third turn is like, no. I've just always been this way. And I think some people would have thought that it is that I don't care. And that's that if I really cared, it would mean more. And that's not it. It's not like, you know, when people are like, my birthday's next week, it's like, so big fucking deal. I mean, it's not your birthday yet. So, I mean, I'm just saying that on your day, then it's your birthday, then we can talk about it, celebrate it then. So I don't do a lot of planning on that. I have surprised my wife twice for surprise birthdays. And those two plus the lingerie incident are probably the three biggest times that I surprised my wife. And the funny thing is, if you ask my wife what are the three biggest times that Rose surprised you, none of those would make her top 1 million. They just maybe. They may make the top 1,000, but those, and I'm not saying, like, my surprises were in a good way, I believe. Most of my surprises are not. Most of my surprises would be like when you get out, when you find there's a dog turd in the bed. That's more what my surprises tend to be like. I'm not sure if I'm the dog or the dog turd. The dog that left the turd or the actual dog turd in that prior story. So anyway, I'm just horrible at gifts. And we usually will talk about, we're going to talk about money also, because I've mentioned before, money is not a carrot for me. I love money. I have expensive taste probably, but it's not, I know how much a Rolex cost. I love a Rolex. And if I could afford a Submariner, I would. Well, actually, I wouldn't at this point, because my wife surprised me for my 40th birthday and bought me a Tag Heuer Aqua Racer, which is a very similar styled dive watch. And once I found out the cost of upkeep on a watch like that, I would rather have a nice, whatever, $50 to $600 watch that runs for a real long time, and then you either fix it or you don't. So anyway, I've only surprised my wife a few times. She surprises me almost every day, and always in a positive way. I can't recall a surprise where I'm like, what? And then been dismayed. I don't ever recall that in 26 years. So what I'm saying is Bobby's amazing. I love you, Bobby. Not all of you. Literally, there would only be like 3 people that if I say I love you for, that I would mean it to. My wife, my daughters, my dog. Anyone else that I would say it to doesn't listen to the show, so I don't have to worry about that. So I just wanted to make sure no one thought that I was crossing a line and saying I love you to you that's listening, because we don't have that type of relationship yet. I am really stoned that I'm going down this route. Anyway, so horrible gift giver, always have been. I just I don't think about it in time. Like literally, so I know when Valentine's Day is. I know the date every single year, what day it's going to be on. But yet I'm shit at doing anything about it. And it's just, I don't know. I do want to say that I try every day to show my wife that I love her. I don't want to say I do show her that because that is not my call. That's her call. Because, there may be... Oh my gosh, I don't even know what I can say at this point. So anyway, I was going to buy... So last week we're getting ready to leave for Chicago to visit our daughter who goes to school there. And so like the day before, so on last Thursday, I'm like, we get back Sunday, and I'm like, what day do we get back? She's like the 13th. And then all of a sudden it hit me, I'm like, fuck, the 14th, it's Valentine's Day. And of course my wife's going to do the old, it's all right, you show me you love me every day. And she does not sound anything like that, but I felt horrible then. And I felt even more horrible after our trip to Chicago. So I stayed up most of Thursday night. We got on the train to Chicago. I put my noise canceling headphones on, and whoop, I'm out for 4 hours. So train leaves 6:30 in the morning here in Kansas City. And my wife listened to reels that someone was playing on their phone with no headphones that was not played in the English language. So she couldn't even enjoy the reels because she had no idea what was being said in any of them or things like that. So the train was much more packed than I can recall ever taking it. Literally ever taking it. It was pretty packed. There was someone in every aisle. So if you've never been on an Amtrak train, I won't speak for all of them. I will speak for the Southwest Chiefs that goes between Chicago and L.A. But that one has, most of the coach aisles are going to have 2 seats on each side. You have an upper and lower berth. So plenty of room and stuff. But generally there's space to spread out and things like that. I'm going to jump over to Cats for a second. So if you listen to last show, Cats is like an EGOT. EGOT is when someone like John Legend has won an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. I believe it's John Legend's done that. I believe others have done that. If I've misspoken, I'm sorry. If I had a producer, I probably would have misspoken. What do you know? And so anyway, I came up with the CATS designation. That's when you have had sex on a car, an airplane, a train, and a ship. So that's how you get. And then you can use an exponent. So it would be like C0 mean you've never had sex on a car. CX with the exponent is X means you've had it at least 10 times, and you wouldn't change that exponent after there. C3 would be you had sex in a car. So you would have a designation there. So if you look last time, the designation was for T was 1. I was hoping that it would become 2, 1 each way, but the trip there, I was like, this is going to become difficult because literally we had pulled out of the station in Kansas City. By literally, I mean, but like, I don't know, within the first 20 minutes. So we had pulled out of the train station in Kansas City, and they said all the bathrooms were closed because someone had been going around and stuffing paper towels in the toilets. So they didn't have any bathrooms to work. So we couldn't even excuse ourselves for bathroom sex. Which there's more room on a train than a plane, but it is just as disgusting. So anyway, the train ride there was uneventful. We get there, it was cold as snot. We got to see Trinity. She is amazing. She goes to school there for chemical engineering. She did not get that one for me. So we were going up to visit her. She moved in an apartment off campus this semester with 2 young men from the fraternity or frat that she is a sweetheart at. So shout out to Ben and Ryan. We got to meet them. Ryan's friend was there, Brenna, so I got to meet her as well. And we stayed with them at their apartment. Amazing brownstone. I love those type of apartments. I think I went up to her apartment twice. I mean, just the brownstone from the street to the front door is a steep. If I fell, it's over. Literally, if I fell down just the front steps, it's over. Once you go inside, they're on the third floor, so they're 2 flights up, and it is narrow. I mean, no furniture is going through that way. They do have a back, like, fire escape where they could bring bigger stuff up, but it was just, I'm not sure which would be more dangerous, falling down the outside stairs or the inside stairs. At least with the inside stairs, I could try to throw my hands and legs against the wall and because it's so narrow and just try to stop myself. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any stopping. Anyway, if I fell down either one of those stairs, I'm dead. So if we ever go back to visit, I loved her apartment. Her room's amazing. Her desk, she gets to see downtown Chicago from her desk at night. Just amazing. Loved her roommates. Had so much fun there. So we were so happy to be there. And once we got there, Bobby had said, hey, I have a surprise for you. Do you want to know? Well, obviously she wants to tell me so that's why I encouraged her to tell me. Because she obviously wants to tell me because she told me she had a surprise. Generally, you don't lead with that. I mean, that would be like being the bad guy and you have the good guy tied up and you're about ready to kill him. But instead of that, you explain everything about your plot. So just in case that person gets free, they know what to do. That's what she was doing by telling me that she had a surprise and then asking me if I wanted to know. So I just encouraged her to embrace that inner feeling of wanting to tell me. And honestly, if I would have paid attention to our tickets, I would have noticed also because our ticket stub said on our return trip that we had a sleeper car. Hold on. So we have not done that. We have never done a sleeper car. Generally, when we're going, it's 8 hours. When we've gone to Trinidad out of Kansas City or Lawrence, it's overnight. So you literally leave 11 or 12, depending on where you're leaving from, and you get there at 9:30 in the morning. So the seats are big, even for someone that is myself. I'm 6'5", Bobby's 6'2", so 6'1". So even for us, it's fairly comfortable. I mean, you get yourself tired enough, you get on there and you sleep. So, and then on the way back from Trinidad, you leave at 6 o'clock at night and get back at 5 a.m. So once again, you get to sleep most of the time. So we've never actually done a sleeper car just because they're more expensive, but we decided to do it this time. We did it. She decided to do it this time. And I was so excited. Leaving Chicago, there were a lot of people. So one of the cool things is sleeper car. People get pre-boarding for the train, which was kind of cool. And I don't know, at Chicago, well, at Kansas City too, some reason a train, I don't know. I guess because trains are a mode of transportation from over 100 years ago, 125 years ago, really, 150 years ago. For a real mode of transportation, because getting onto a train sucks. I mean, it's not, there's a lot of walking just to get on a train. So anyway, we got our pre-boarding, we got our little roomette. It was, if you think about the old-timey movies or any movie you've ever seen where they've been on a train where they've had like an old travel car, and 4 people would sit in there and it'd be a room, and then the aisle would be next to one window, and then the room, so the aisle would be a third, and then the room would take up 2/3. Well, these things they had them on each side, so it was basic. So it was a third, and then the aisle was a third, and so it split that way. Not a ton of room to move around, but you did have, an electrical outlet. You did have heat control. You did have a door. I will tell you that currently you are having to be masked at all time unless you're actively eating or drinking on the train, which I'm all for. That's fine. We did that on the way there. But when you are there, you have a curtain. So I assume, I don't know. We closed the door. There's an actual glass door. So we closed that. You can close the curtains too, which we had to do because if you'll notice on my latest post on Instagram at The Stone Genius, that T number went from 1 to 3. So, and the Super Bowl was still watched, all at the same time. Not at the same time. All in the same trip. So, it was cool. We put one of the beds down. It is not wide enough for 2 adults. That's why it's not, so it is what it is. But, we did lay there on our sides, and we watched the football game because it was easier to do that than sit. Trust me. So that was amazing. If you ever get a chance, I like traveling by train. I really do. If it's somewhere that it's going to take, if you can afford to fly, and the things that come in with fly, getting picked up or renting a car, all these different things, that's fine. I understand the immediacy of flying, and I would have preferred in this, I don't know, I probably would have preferred to fly. I take that back. I haven't been on a flight since pre-pandemic, I don't think, and I don't want to be in a metal tube with crazy people. I don't want to be anywhere with crazy people, much less a metal tube. So anyway, I was going to tie this into intermittent fasting. You're like, oh, God, you were hoping I forgot that part. So here's what it's like. So I was also reading a story yesterday or within the last few days or the weekend or something about intermittent fasting and, that's the rage and everything. And so I decided I would look up when intermittent fasting as a term really came into being. And they said 2012. I was like, that is not very long ago. So I think I'm going to put it on LinkedIn that I invented intermittent fasting in the 70s when my mom would get mad that I wouldn't eat. So my parents, when I was growing up, they thought I just didn't want to eat. And maybe I didn't want to stop what I was doing. I was always so active and everything. I didn't want to stop what I was doing. But here as an adult, I literally forget to eat. I'm writing a note about a note. I'm actually writing a note to myself right now, note about eating. So somewhere I remember I have a picture that Bobby left me on the door, and it just says, remember to eat. Because I will literally forget to eat. I'll come home 6 o'clock and I'll be complaining, oh, my head's just killing me. This headache came on a few hours ago. And Bobby will like, well, what have you eaten today? And I'm like, nothing. Or usually it's like this. Actually, who are we kidding? When Bobby talks to me, it's always like this. So I forget to eat quite a bit. So a lot of times you'll see me, my time to eat would be from whenever time I got home to whatever time I went to bed. So often that would be, anywhere from 5 to midnight, but like right now it's more like 7 p.m. to midnight. And some people are like, that'd be the worst time to eat. I mean, whatever. I don't, it works for me. So there are often times where that's the only time I eat. I won't eat all day until I get home. Like today I woke up a few hours ago and unless Mountain Dew has been reclassified as a food, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be, then I haven't eaten today and I probably won't. I mean, I don't know. I won't eat before I go to work. Right now, I'm working 11 to 7s, which is a great shift to make sure I don't eat lunch or dinner in a timely fashion. But there's a good chance I may get something in the afternoon. And I don't snack. I've never been a snacker. So I literally many days will have a 4 to 6 hour window where I eat, and that's all I'm eating for the day. Which if you describe something, you'd be intermittent fasting. So if you ask my parents, did Rodney invent intermittent fasting? They'd be like, oh, no. Or if you ask if he practiced intermittent fasting, my parents would say no, and they'd be like, describe his eating habits. They'd be like, well, sometimes he would just eat the one meal a day, and I mean, they would describe that. I mean, there have been times where I've gone, especially if Bobby and the girls were out of town, I would go 2 days without eating. So, and this is how I segue. This is, I don't know. This is like some out of control map where trying to follow me on a map would be nearly impossible. So, but so I'm going to take over intermittent fasting. The reason I bring that up to the thing about holidays or birthdays or anything else is, to me, food doesn't become necessary until it's time to be necessary. And sometimes that's how I am with holidays, birthdays, and I don't mean to be. But I will also say that now that I am off Facebook, I still have a Facebook account, personal account out there, but I do not use it or go to it. There have been a couple people that I've had to reach out to for some of my podcasts that I've had to use Facebook to reach out to them, which is one reason that I keep that live open and going, but I do not communicate. I was going out of town on January the 6th of 2021, day of the insurrection at the Capitol, and I was leaving town anyway by train, oddly enough, to go to Denver. And so I was going to be off Facebook for like 4 days anyway. And then I just never returned. I didn't want to. I thought there were too many people that talk crazy shit on there. And they wanted to get into it. There is one person that kept, I am neither liberal, I am neither conservative. I will be conservative or to the right of center. I don't know what my center, I would consider center. I don't think people have any idea. I think most people on the right that consider their center is way far right, and the people that consider themselves liberals is way far left. My center is like 1980s center, like literally reach across the aisle and make a deal center. So I left because there was one person that was getting into with me, and I mean, not really, because being so much smarter than everyone else, you can keep putting them in their place. But I finally was like, who are you? Do I know you? And they're like, yeah, I remember you from high school. And I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, I had still don't. I mean, I tried looking, the name sounded vaguely familiar, but the first name sounded like it should go with a different last name, and the last name should have gone with a different first name. Like they tried to mix two people together. So, but yeah, just stupid shit like that. And yeah, that's crazy. That's why I don't like social media. That's one hard thing about promoting the show, is that I have to do social media for this. And I really do Instagram. That's it. I do have a TikTok. I do have an OnlyFans. I do have a Twitter account. I could try to go other directions, but that's not me. And that also goes back to, oh my gosh, did I just tie this in somehow? Also go back to remembering birthdays and things like that. It's not that it's not important. It's just not important until it gets to that point. And until it was important for me to eat, that's another weird thing, is that when people talk about, like, you'll see a zombie movie or TV show, whatever, and then people, the audience, afterwards will talk about, oh, this is what I would do. This is what I would do. So let me be clear here as a genius. If there is a zombie apocalypse or something catastrophic of that nature, we're infrastructure broke down, power grid fails, so apocalyptic times. I would get all the drugs that I could get my hands on. I would get all the alcohol I could get my hands on, and then I would have a gun with enough bullets that for whoever's hanging out with me, that we could take care of it at the end of times. Because why would I struggle to fight through this whole zombie apocalypse to come out to feeling like I'm living in the 1300s? Where if I want to go see someone, I'm going to have to find a horse and take an all-day trip to go see him. That does not appeal to me. At some point, I'm going to talk about, I think I may have mentioned it before on this show, and I really have to do better. I know, I'll keep saying it. Just bear with me. About when you would want to live. Like what time frame you would want to live. And you have to remember that everything, not just the, oh gosh, I think it'd be really great to live in the like I've always said that it would be great to live in the 70s and the 80s, like in the Studio 54 era and stuff like that. But I don't. I mean, I have to give every era a lot. Like when I first mentioned this to my wife on our show, which is called The Longest One Night Stand with Bobby and Roe. Please give that one a listen if you haven't. So anyway, we talked about it, and she said the 1950s. She goes, that just, and a lot of times they make that seem appealing in the movies. But I go, would you want to be a stay-at-home mom, wife? She was like, not really. And I go, she goes, well, I guess, and then she was like, well, I guess I would get to bake and cook all day, which she loves to do. And I was like, yeah, but you got to dress up. I mean, you can't. And I think I looked at it. I was like, you can't wear a T-shirt and shorts in the 1950s. You're going to have to be wearing a dress. Even though the kids are at school and the husband's away at work, you need to be dressed up. I mean, the mailman may come to the house or the milkman may come for a delivery. Hold on. Which one should that be? Nope. Oh, no. Yeah, probably that one. Because play his trombone, rim job. One of the two. One of those two of those sound effects should have worked. I'll have my producer do this in post-production. Edit that right out. So let's see. I don't know when I'd want to live. But it wouldn't want to be the 1300s, and that's what you're going to get at the end of a zombie apocalypse, a meteor hitting the earth, the power grid failing, something like that. So, and if I did need to survive, I think I would survive a lot longer. So when we lived out in the country, I used to think the other way. Who would be in my group? So we actually had a butcher shop out there in our little town. And they butchered the animals. You could take them there, have them butchered, prepared, everything out there. And one of the butchers lived down the street from us. So we asked him, hey, if we ever need go. And they're like, why? We barely know each other. I go, yeah, but I know you work at the meat market, so I'm not going to want to give up hamburgers. Hello. And it was, now that we're watching 1883, the latest episode or whatever episode we just got to, it shows the cook is on the chuck wagon cook, and they just, they kill a steer or cow that day and cook it that night. And I was like, we would probably need that. And the thing about me is I can go 2 days and be active, not just like I'm laying around. I mean, I can go about doing my normal stuff, and I may get a little cranky, but other than that, I'm not complaining. I'm like, I'm so hungry. I mean, I know people that eat breakfast and at lunch are, I'm so hungry. One thing about my kids, one thing that I refuse to let them say is the phrase, I'm starving. Every time they said that, I would stop, and it was almost like I was snapping at them. I was like, no, you do not understand what starving is. You don't get to eat the previous meal and then say that you're starving at the next one. Wow, that went deep. But I didn't mean for that to go so deep. I was just saying that a lot of people are like that, that if their lunch, if they're used to it being at 12 and it's now 12:30 or 1 o'clock, and I may be talking about our dog here, but then they will get all grumpy and snippy and whatever about it. But they think that they're going to be able to handle going days without food, or even worse, having to work to get their own food. What? And I don't want to do that either. I mean, I don't want to eat squirrel. I don't want to eat rabbit. The place that we had, the meat market out in the country, they sold rabbit. I know they reproduce. The meat, it would be meat, but I just no. Nope. Nope. I'd rather get high as shit and put one. I won't say that. I would rather get high as shit and just whatever happens at that point. That doesn't thrill me. Sorry. Wow, this is taking a weird turn. Hold on. I really need to get some different sound effects on my board. So what other notes did I have? Because that took a weird turn. Oh, also, speaking about a couple other things. Last time I was talking about my, maybe not last time. Previously on a show, you should listen to all of them. They're not dissimilar to this in their rambling nature. But on a previous show, I had talked about how when I was a kid, my mother hated my outfits because she said they didn't match. But what her expectation for my outfit was different than what my expectation was for the outfit. If I wore plaid on plaid, that was because that was a comfortable shirt or a warm shirt or whatever, and same with the pants. And I'd put out that it's always a scale. Sometimes people put way too much emphasis on how they look. I remember, and I'm going to speak about our oldest daughter here for a second, Morgan. We went to a golf clinic. She was a very accomplished high school golfer here in the Kansas City area, and we were going to a golf clinic that was put on by a couple of LPGA pros here. And they had misforecast the weather. And so instead of 70 and sunny, it was 45 and blustery. Well, whatever we had going on, Morgan did not have the correct outfit for the weather. And so in my car, I had said, I did at that point always have my cold gear, rain gear stuff in my car for golf. I played golf quite a bit at the time. And so I was like, hey, do you want to wear my winter pants? She could pull them on, put them on under her skirt, put them on over. I know that'd be men, that'd be cute. And she didn't want them to look good. And so she was freezing. I mean, it was not good. But she was more concerned at that point with how she looked than being warm. When we were in Chicago this weekend, I was going to take a big jacket. Now, this is not on looks. This is on convenience. I knew the anticipated weather in Chicago. I know being downtown that it can get blustery up and down those streets. So I went with as light as a jacket as I thought possible to combat this weather, and I woefully underestimated the jacket that I needed. Woefully. Yeah, it was cold. So, and I have a great big parka-light jacket. It doesn't it combats the wind. From head to mid-thigh, you're covered, you're taken care of. And I could have taken that. But I didn't. When we left Kansas City, the weather was warmer here. I wouldn't have needed that until I got there, so I opted not to take it because of convenience. In retrospect, so here's another thing. Just like that jacket, I had to learn from this whole jacket. And here's one thing that separates. I'm only going to speak about me and not all genius. That will separate me from most people is I will learn, and I will learn quickly. And I'm not afraid to change directions. Where most people at this point in society will just say, I do not agree with that, so that is incorrect. So just like the jackets, I did not think of that. Before we have traveled on train, and overnight, it gets really cold. So whether you're sitting in the regular coach where we've always sat, or this time in our sleeper car, you have an electrical outlet. So we bought, it's cold. It can get cold on a train. And so even when it's not cold outside, traveling in the summertime, for whatever reason, it can get cold on a train. And I get cold, so take that with a grain of salt. Me saying cold to me is sub 75 probably. Inside. 75 I would be comfortable. 75 I wouldn't say much about the temperature. Right now I'm looking at the thermostat. It's 74.3 in our house. So this is where I'm comfortable. So but it gets cold to me in the train and to Bobby. So we bought a little couch electric throw blanket, heated throw blanket. Two people can get underneath. I mean, it's perfect for travel like this, especially when you have an electrical outlet. So, see, and this is when I should think about everything I'm going through before I go through it. Like before I'm packing, I should have thought convenience, and then I should have, here I am. Literally, the last thing I packed into my bag was this electric throw blanket, and it takes up a third of the bag of what I was taking. I could have gone with much less stuff, or I could have put more thermal stuff in there so I could have had layers if I didn't take it. So yes, it's a little inconvenient because I have to be, if I'm traveling by train, I'm taking that blanket. So the inconvenience is I need room to do that, and I have this big blanket. When I went to Denver, I had a bag only for the blanket. And that was a little, slouch bag. I don't know what you'd call it. But anyway, that's the blanket rolled up and put in there. So I had an extra bag because I had a blanket with me. But that's the convenience. But I will know also next time when we go to Chicago and the forecast is for a certain temperature, that I need to be like, they're probably not Kansas City weather forecasters who are wrong on a once in a while. I don't know how to. I don't want to be too mean. I don't watch the local weather anymore, so maybe they've become pinpoint accurate. I don't know. So it used to be that you didn't in the Midwest you didn't have to be accurate. There's the one job that you could just throw shit out there and be like, tomorrow it's going to be 70 and sunny. And then if it was 45 and rainy, people would just be like, yeah, they were wrong. But let's keep going. So, so convenience. That I needed to wear something warmer when I went. And I that is one of the notes that I wrote. What else? Oh, yeah. So also, and this is going to be the last thing. If you made it 45 minutes in, congratulations. That is awesome. So I'm going to keep this under an hour, probably. Maybe. So, and I'm just going to add this because we're talking about convenience. So my wife and I, our family, we were going to move back to Florida a couple years ago. 4 years ago, 5 years ago now. And we ended up not doing that and staying. But unfortunately, we had made that decision after we had sold our house. Hold on. Yeah, so we were under contract. Literally the day that our house went under contract, our decision to leave the area had changed. So our oldest was gone at school at the time, so we moved into a 2-bedroom apartment. She was not coming home in the summer. She hadn't been. So we had planned on moving in an apartment for a year. In fact, when we moved in, we had said that to the neighbor when we moved in, and Brian said, well, I like neighbors that stay a long time. And now after 5 years, he's like, I thought you were leaving after a year. I don't think he's actually, he's never said that directly to us. I think I've heard him say that through the walls, but not directly to us. So we moved into this house, and so we've been talking about, we have this conversation about whether we move to get something bigger. One of the drawbacks to us not having a lot of room is that Bobby's parents do not come up to visit very often. Oh, I guess that's where the applause should come from. I'm going to know whether Bobby's listened to this episode by that little bit right there. So we've talked about it. And one of my things is if we stay within 10 or 15 miles of where we're currently located, and we have a nice apartment, it's an old apartment, it's offset. Many people do not even know that this is around. It's from the 70s. It's wedged between a highway and a golf course, and people just do not know it's here. We belonged to this golf course way back in the day, so I actually knew it was here. Tremendous value. We have been ecstatic for being where we are for the years that we have been. But we have been talking about getting more room. The problem is that we have such a good deal here in this area that there is nothing even remotely close. If we add one room, we will double what we pay. And we have a really good. For a sizable 2-bedroom where we live, we're paying just over $1,000, which is amazing for this area. And if we try to go to a 3-bedroom, we're going to at least $1,800, if not $2,000, for a 3-bedroom. So my pushback, and that's if you went to an apartment or a townhome. And then you don't know neighbors, and we have a Doberman, it's a big dog, not everyone allows that, blah, blah, yada, yada. And then if you try to go to a house, we get a 3-bedroom house, then you're looking at jumping up to $2,500. So, and I was like, if we put that extra $1,500 away, if someone wanted to come visit us, like your parents, then we just put them up in a nice hotel, and we're ahead of the game. And so when we were traveling by train, this is how I'm going to tie this all together, that you go through a lot of small towns. You're like, oh, that's a cute small town, or that's a nice small town, or look at that downtown. That looks really neat. I like the small town better than a big town. I love big towns. I love Chicago. However, I don't like the traffic. I don't want to drive there. There are a lot of things I don't like. Easy access to a lot of things I do love, but I think if I was balancing everything else off, I would rather be out in the country with the good internet, because that is a caveat for living out in the country. But you'd go through small towns. So when we're talking about a house, if we tried to find a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,000 plus square foot home where we live currently, a 4.3 at more than 2,000 square feet, you would be easily looking $350,000, and you'd get into a bidding war probably at $350,000. Hold on. Yeah. Housing market is out of control. We'll talk about that sometime because I have a big issue with the housing market. So anyway, we're driving through a small town, and it was Galesburg, Illinois, which I found out a ton of interesting facts. It was the first anti-slave city in Illinois. It was a stop on the Underground Railroad. Lincoln Douglas had a one of their debates at Knox College there. So I learned so much just doing some research, which a producer would do. Why I had to do it. Ugh. So anyway, I did some research because there is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,000 plus square foot with a detached garage, quarters above the garage, just like a open living area above the garage, fenced area, beautiful from street appeal from the pictures. All the pictures on the inside look amazing. There are a couple things that need to be repainted, but other than that, it does look amazing. I'm sure $180,000. And it's been on the market. Yeah. And so that goes back to the trade-offs. Just like I know that my wife, one of the things, she wishes that we had the room that we could take care of animals or people that are in need, or she wants to be able to have that where we don't need to turn anyone away or do something like that. And we don't have that ability right now. And I totally understand that. But we could have the ability to do that. We just couldn't do it here. And that's one of those things that you have to figure out your convenience. Just like people that, oh, your clothes don't match. Well, you know what? They're comfy. You know what? If you say my clothes don't match, but then I tell you, well, I'm going to be working outside all day and it's whatever, but then you're like, oh, well, those look like warm clothes. Yeah, no shit. That's why I'm wearing them, dumb fuck. Wow. I guess the cannabis is wearing off. So, anyway, that's it's always a trade-off. We can get a big house and a big yard and have room for everyone. We can be on the train line too. I mean, we have a daughter here in Kansas City. We have our daughter in Chicago. So we'd actually be halfway between them. So instead of one of our daughters getting all of our time and attention, which we don't see her that often. Hey, Mo. But I was just saying we could make something like that happen. We just wouldn't be able to make that happen here. So that's a trade-off. Would you rather live here or would you rather live somewhere that you can afford? I remember one time there was a house that I kept following. It was in Parsons, Kansas. And it was for sale for a long time. And it was beautiful. But it was Parsons, Kansas. I believe it was pre-pandemic, so I'm not sure that more people were working from home. I think that's really changed things. I think with the infrastructure bill, that if rural areas start getting better broadband internet, you'll really see rural areas start to grow, which, having been in a rural area, I don't necessarily like that, but change, sometime you need it. When we first moved out to the country, it was 20 minutes one way to a grocery store if you forgot something on your grocery list. So when we finally got a small grocery store out there, it changed the dynamics somewhat for the better, somewhat for the worse, but it is what it is. So anyway, thank you all for listening. If you made it to the 53-minute mark, then you are probably related to me. So thank you very much. Or you walked away from your broadcast device and you're no longer listening. So that would be, actually, I don't have to do that. You wouldn't hear it anyway, so it doesn't matter. So anyway, thank you so much. This has been an episode of The Stone Genius. I'm TSG. I am Ro. I will talk to y'all next time.